Well, 2018 promises to be one of the most interesting years of politics in our lifetime, and one of the races to be decided this year is for Pennsylvania governor. Joining us now, one of the 4 Republican challengers to Governor Tom Wolf, York County State Senator Scott Wagner. Senator, thank you so much for joining us this morning. I want to start with your connections to both President Trump and Steve Bannon. You've been very pro-President Trump since the start. You had Vice President Pence at your Penn Waste facility. At the same time, Steve Bannon has been in your corner, and you've said good things about him. And now those two are at odds. And President Trump saying, well, kind of cutting off all connections to Steve Bannon, to put it nicely. So where does that leave you in the middle of this?
Well, listen, I'm more focused on Pennsylvania. There's a food fight going on in Washington between the president and Steve Bannon, and we'll let that play out. But listen, at the end of the day, I'm supportive of President Trump. I think this week, everybody is going to their mailbox, getting their 401k statements. And, 401k and stock portfolios are up dramatically over the year before. The economy's humming along. But listen, what's going on in D.C. between Steve Bannon and the president it'll evolve. But I'm focused on Pennsylvania.
Do you want Steve Bannon campaigning for you like he has for other governor and Senate and congressional candidates across the country?
At this time, it's really tough for me to answer that question. At the end of the day, I'm spending my time, Matt, going around Pennsylvania. Like I told you earlier, last year I announced my candidacy last January of 2017. I've had over 350 events that I have attended. So I'm all over Pennsylvania talking to people. My high payoff activity is being in Pennsylvania, talking to people about the issues, not getting caught up in a food fight in D.C.
Oh, you have considered yourself an outsider candidate from the start when you announced your state Senate candidacy as a write-in candidate. In this case, for Pennsylvania governor, you have other quote-unquote outsider candidates, a businessman in Paul Mango, an attorney in Laura Ellsworth, who don't have that office Harrisburg connection. So what makes you as an outsider candidate better than the other so-called outsider candidates?
Well, I think there's a distinct difference. Number one, I won a write-in campaign in 2014, and I just want to point out that was 2.5 years before President Trump won his election in November of 2016. And I was the outsider. Harrisburg tried to keep me out. I won a write-in campaign, and I went to Harrisburg, and I've been there. The end of March, I'll be there. I will have completed my 4th year. I've been inside the Capitol, and I can, humorously say, I know where the breaker boxes are in the Capitol. I know where the water shutoff valves are.
You've been there long enough to understand the ins and the outs.
Yeah, I don't have to. Listen, Pennsylvania right now is in serious trouble. We are bankrupt, and we need to come to the realization that we're bankrupt. We have gone through 3 years of a budget crisis under Governor Wolf, which is, it's really unfortunate that we went through, but all the governor wants to do is tax this and tax that. The governor doesn't want to do anything as far as managing, state government. So I've been on the inside. I serve on the Appropriations Committee, Transportation, Labor, and Industry. So I've had a 4-year education inside the Capitol. And again, when I say this, Pennsylvania is like the patient in the operating room bleeding on the table. And all the governor wants to do is put more blood in the patient. Well, more blood into the patient comes from taxpayers via more taxes. We need to stop the bleeding. We need to put a tourniquet on the patient. And we need to get our financial house in order. I don't have to go through a learning curve like the other people that are running for this office. I'm inside, and also the combination of my private sector business background gives me huge opportunities to get things done.
At the same time, even though you have been in Harrisburg, and I want to bring up something that Paul Mango is accused of, missing 109 votes. This came out just before the Christmas holiday. I want to give you a chance to respond that you have missed 109 different votes over the course of your first 3 years of in office.
Well, that's that's really an inaccurate statement that Paul Mango made. Number one, in October 2016, I belong to an organization called Young Presidents Organization, which I've been a member since 1992. I have routinely, since 1992, gone to business conferences and to learn new things about what's happening in the business world and how you manage people, how you become a better leader. I traveled to an international business conference. I was out for 3 days. Half of those votes that I missed in those 3 days were renaming of bridges and roads. And they were semi-insignificant. Every vote's significant. But at the end of the day, if you want to go look through the record, it's easy to take a shot.
But if you're running for governor, shouldn't you set the standard of being there for all the votes?
Well, Matt, I think there's a misunderstanding. I attended an international business conference that I signed up for 2 years prior. You know, what happens in Harrisburg, everybody in Harrisburg lives in a bubble, and they don't know what's going on in the outside world. You know, at my company, I'm constantly reinventing my company over and over, and you're going to hear me talk about reinventing the education system. You know, if your world is only inside that capital, that makes you a pretty ineffective person. So I traveled, I learned, you know, about technology, I learned about what's happening, you know, in other parts of the world with the economy. That's what a true leader with vision does.
State Senator Scott Wagner running for governor. There's a debate tonight in Hollidaysburg. All 4 candidates are going to be there. Thank you so much for stopping by this morning. FOX 43 Morning News. We'll be right back.